Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is Biking Buddies, the motor vlog channel. Now we're not out on the bike today, we are in the man cave. We're doing a bit of a maintenance video, so if you guys have got a T7, I'm going to show you something that could not only save you a lot of hassle, particularly MOT time, but also save you an awful lot of money. This is a routine task, so as always in Biking Buddies fashion, grab yourself a brew, leave the beers, we're still in dry January, and come with me on this week's maintenance motor vlog. Let's QVT.
Where do you go when you're young, when you're restless, when you're fun, cause you're desperate? Oh, here they come for a chance, for adventure. What's your poison? What's your pleasure?
Okay then folks, so that is the title is out of the way. As you have seen, let me explain in a bit more detail what we're actually going to do in this maintenance focused video. I'm sure you can do this on any bike, but it is an Achilles heel, a little bit of a weakness that the T7s are prone to. In essence, we've got the bike here, we're out of the man cave as you can see, and what we're actually going to do is we're going to remove the rear suspension, partly just so that we can clean in and around it, but also, and more importantly, underneath the bike here is where we've got the lower link arms from the swing arm through to the suspension into the main chassis of the bike. Now there are three bearings that we need to inspect, clean and lube today. One is the bottom of the suspension strut, two is the bottom of the link arm, and the third one is up here in this cast aluminium joint. There is incidentally a fourth which is up here into the swing arm itself. And when I first got the bike, I stripped these out. Thankfully they were in pretty much tip-top condition. I give the bike a thorough clean, or give the bearings a thorough clean, a lube, and I pop them back in. But you can certainly see from their locale within the bike, they get all of the dirt from the back wheel, they get all of the dirt from the front wheel. They are very low slung, as you can see, so they are susceptible to a lot of dirt and debris and water, etc. So what do we need to do this? Well, let's jump in the man cave and I'll run through a few of the very basic things that we need to perform this task. Okay then, so here we are in the man cave. Obviously gloves, etc., that is mandatory. First thing we need are a set of tools. So we've just got a general array of toolage here. We have got the torque wrench to take the rear wheel spindle out. I find this a lot easier with the rear wheel out. You don't have to take the rear wheel out, but it is easier because it reduces the amount of weight that's on that rear swing arm. We've then got some various spannerage going on here, from socketry to ring keys to open end, a little bit of WD-40, a little bit of GT85 for the general purposes of cleaning, and some lithium grease for re-lubing, and of course a multiple set of rags to do the cleaning, and an endless flow of hot tea. Okay, so one of the first things you're going to want to do is prop the back end of the bike up. Now this might be a little bit problematic if you haven't got a ramp, as I haven't, so you may need to get a little bit ingenious with this one. So I jacked the bike off the sump guard down here, and then on the mounting points for the side stand stroke foot peg on the near side, and the off side is the opposite foot peg, I put two axle stands under. Now the bike is fairly solid. You certainly wouldn't want to swing and rive on the bike, but it's certainly solid enough to do what we're doing at the moment. So the next job is to whip the back wheel out, which I will dutifully do right now. Okay then folks, so that is the wheel out as we can see, and there is the wheel just sat behind me. It's always a good idea once you're in this type of job to just extend that maintenance regime and just check things over as and when you come to put them back together, which I will dutifully do. Now let's just have a quick look at the bike and we can tell you a little bit more about the next stages of what's going to happen. Personally, when I take the wheel out, I like to protect the side arm, or protect the swing arm, as much as I possibly can. So what I have done is I have just put a tie wrap back through with the caliper, just so the caliper can sit there and it's not going to swing around and cause any damage, and also a little bit of masking tape over the end of the swinger arm just to protect the anodizing from where the chain is sitting. So the next stages of this suspension demontage is to expose the suspension mounting system itself. So on both sides of the bike I have this little triangular panel to take off here, which is just 3 torques, and that panel will come off. That exposes the top mounting bolts of the suspension unit. And I also like to take off this little mud mudguard flap here, just so that I've got a better sighting of what's going on inside, and that certainly makes it a lot easier when you put in this lot back together. So let's get that lot whipped out, and then we should be able to see the suspension in all of its glory. There'll be quite a few muddy bits in there as well. They're the bits that you can't reach, and that also makes this a very good job to do, to keep on top of that maintenance and lubing. So the next thing to do now we're under the bike is take these dog links out, and that's what we're going to do with two 17mm spanners. And of course we now just take a little bit of weight support of the swing arm. That just loosens up the fittings here. We can see how they're moving, and I can just gently draw and extract the bolts through. I like to keep everything exactly as it came off the bike, with the front and the rear, and that was the way that it was facing. I can see that from the dirt there, but when I get it cleaned up I may not be able to see that. So again, just take the weight of the bike. Hopefully that's gonna come out. Oh, it's not actually. Let's manage to take that one out later, and that bolt goes there as so. And that's just a little bit annoying because I'll need to leave that one in situ because of the axle stand is just in the way. It's not enabling me to take that out even with the slider there. Now already I can feel and see, looking at that the lithium grease that I put in last time is still yellow and very, very clean. So hopefully that's a very good sign indeed. And I will pull that bush out there just to have a double check. Now the next thing to do is disconnect the lower suspension mount and then the upper bolt, which joins the link section together. And I believe this is smaller with 17 on this side, but I believe that on the opposite side we are a 14. It is a little bit OCD, just making sure that everything is exactly bang on point the way that it came out. Now did you see how all of that dropped? Again, the lithium grease is looking incredibly good in here, and now I can draw that bolt out, I do believe exactly as per, and there we are. There is our setup. This lot I will transfer up onto the bench. So we have our suspension unit is loose, so I can take that out with the top bolt up there and the entire suspension unit will come out. And the bottom bolt down here, don't know whether you can see this bolt down here, I'll drop this one out and that takes that bearing out. So let's get those out. Wow, that was tighter than a tight thing. So now that is out, what we should be able to do is drop this center bracket out just by easing the bolt out. It is a little bit tight, but down she comes. And then, as I say, I like to keep everything exactly as it was. These are all on nylocks, which incidentally is why it was so tricky to get that away the way that it was. That one goes in there, that one on there. Whew. That nylock onto there. You'll see there is sense to this in a little second. That into there, just like so. And this bolt we can just slip through here because the bush is still there in the lower swing arm. We're going to pull that bush out in a second. Actually, tell you what, let's get that out now so the bush can slide out. The needle rollers don't look too bad. Condition of that looks okay. I have seen videos of these being completely furred up, so just to ensure that we are being absolutely correct all the way through, slide that bush into there. That's exactly as it goes. This also enables you to see better the suspension setup. Now the last task to do is to remove the suspension from here, which is one bolt at the top up here, captive bolt head on this side and nylock on the opposite side. So I'll whip that out and then we will pick this up on the bench. So here we have it. Here is the rear suspension in all of its off the bike glory. This would be the front of the bike over here, and this would be the rear of the bike over here. So what I need to do now, just have a quick look at the general condition. Now I normally pride myself on keeping the bike fairly clean and tidy. This is the bit that sits directly behind the gearbox, directly behind the engine, and is incredible if not impossible to reach. So all of this needs a good clean aesthetically anyway. As you can see, the parts that you can reach, they're pretty clean as well, given that I was out on the bike last weekend. Okay, so what I am going to do incidentally is just as the suspension would be, that's pretty much here what we're looking at, that's as would be in situ on the bike, is I'm going to draw these bolts out, draw these link bars out, and let's have a look at the condition of the bearings, because ultimately that's what we're here to do. Let's have a look at the top bearing then. If I just turn this around so that this is frontward, What I can see already looking at the lithium grease on the threads is looking pretty good, but the bolt itself is just starting to show a little bit of degrading from water damage, and that's only after a year's worth of use. Let's have a look inside here. Let's get a little bit of extra light so that you guys can see. And looking inside there, that's a little bit dry, but it's not actually too bad. There is still lube in there, albeit it is fairly dry. So that'll be cleaned out and lubed, and the bottom section all cleaned out. And can you see in there, there is some lithium grease, which is pretty damn good. The rest of the cylinder looks okay. There are no leaks, no weeps. The seals are all looking pretty good. So overall, I'm quite happy with that. Now the next element to do is to have a look at the bearings here. The bearing that goes through the link arm into the swing arm I've already done on the bike. That's already cleaned and lubed, ready to go. So it is literally just an inspection of this spindle and also the bush that goes with it as well. So we'll draw the bolt out. That is exactly as I put it back in, all nice and greased, nice and clean. So I'm very pleased with that. Needless to say that the inside of the bush is also looking very good, and the outside of the bush is showing no wear marks whatsoever. So then let's take the opposite end of the link arms off, and let's have a look at those and see how we get on there. Link arms are looking okay. Obviously it all needs a clean. Let's pull that one out. Now the bolt again, covered in lithium grease. Very, very pleased with that link arm. And let's take the top suspension mount off as well. This is the rear facing one again. Lots and lots of lithium grease on there. Very pleased and very happy with that. So fundamentally, let's get this light again so you guys can see. Let's have a look at the bushes inside of there. They're all looking pretty good. Yep, quite happy with those indeed. So what I need to do now is I need to draw the bushes out. Again, that is a very good sign. Nice and polished. A little bit of wear on the bottom edge there. Then draw the next one out. The fact that these come out incredibly easy is very good and a good telltale sign. None of this is rehearsed, by the way. So let's have a look and see what sort of condition the inside of these bearings is. Lots of yellow, lots of lithium grease in there. Very, very pleased with that. This one's slightly dirtier, this being the lower of the two. Again, no water though, and it looks like there is no grit in there either. And this one also the same. The roller bearings are all looking very good. So all in all, I am incredibly pleased with that. It's a case of clean all down now, get it all greased and get it all put back together. Very, very worthwhile doing. Okay, so that is everything stripped off, cleaned and laid out before you. As you can see, it's all fully lubed up, ready to go. I'm very, very pleased with what we've got done. I'm incredibly pleased that there's been no water ingress into any of these bearing housings. Just have a little bit of a closer look there. As I'm sure you can see, they are all nice and fully lubed up. And also there's not a vast amount of damage on the bottom here. You can buy additional plates that come off the back of the front skid plate to cover this up, but thankfully there's just normal pit marks on there, so I'm not overly concerned about that. So the only thing for me to do now is get this lot back together on the bike. I hope you have found this video incredibly informative. It will save you an awful lot of money, an awful lot of time and an awful lot of hassle, particularly when it comes to MOT MOT time if you are checking these 3 crucial bearings on this link piece here, the back of the swing arm, and obviously the suspension mount itself. It doesn't take too long, as you've seen. Total time to do this, I would probably say from top to bottom, is circa around about an hour and a half, maybe an hour once you're a little bit more familiar with the process. Arguably the biggest chew is getting that rear wheel out, to be fair. Nice and cleaned up, nice and lubed. I'm going to put it all back together, and that should be good for another 6 months worth of running. And well folks, there we have it, another job well done. The bike is all back together, tools are on the bench, so let's go take a quick look in this fading light just before I get the rear wheel back on. So let's have a quick look at what we've done. So if we just spin you guys around there, let's have a look inside there, nice and clean. That's all our suspension mount there. More importantly, underneath, these are the link arms that we're talking about, all nice and clean, nice and lubed up, and the bearings within the needle rollers, that's the important bit. They are all super duper in top notch working order. So yes, all in all, I'm really pleased with that. So yes, as I say, they're very quick job, around about an hour and a half tops, from top to bottom. That's from wheel on to wheel off, etc. So yeah, I'm going to get the trim bits put back on the bike here. Once I've cleaned all this area up, obviously, I'm going to get the wheel back on that is currently sitting over there very patiently. Yeah, we'll get the bike back together. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. So the final thing from me to do, to say to you guys, wherever you are in the world guys, whatever you're doing, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button, and whatever you're doing folks, keep it safe, keep it shiny side up, and we'll catch you for the next one, which hopefully will be a ride video if I can get this lot back together. Cheers folks, bye now, bye.